First of all, I want to say that phrase, the future is inevitable, just doesn't mean anything. The future is going to happen, whatever it is, and that's true whether determinism is true or indeterminism is true. There's going to be a future. Now, in what sense could you talk about the future being inevitable? I don't know. What we have to talk about is particular events being inevitable, or particular types of events. And in order to see what the word inevitable means, you have to take it apart. And oddly enough, although the word trips off the tongue of everybody who writes about free will and determinism, hardly anybody's ever looked at it. But of course, what it means is unavoidable. I mean, evitable, inevitable, avoidable, unavoidable. That's all the word means. But now, to avoid something, this is something that an agent does, an avoider. I mean agent in the broad sense of being an actor that has some sensory capacities and some goals, and that acts in the world to accomplish its ends. Okay. Now, are there agents that can avoid things? Sure. Tons of them. And in fact, the reason you have to look at free will from an evolutionary point of view is that's remarkable. There's many more avoiders now than there used to be, and they're much better at avoiding than they used to be. And in fact, it's as good as a definition of intelligence to be an expert avoider, to be able to foresee far into the future, to see things coming down the pike, and to take steps in a timely way to prevent those bad things from happening, and in order to foster things that you want to happen. We don't have a good parallel word. What would it be? Enhancer, probabilifier. There's no. We avoid harm, and we try to get the good. But there isn't a single verb for what we do with regard to good things the way there is for avoiding the bad. But now, that means that the whole concept of inevitability gets its meaning from the perspective in which there are agents, that might want to avoid something. And it might be in their power or it might not. Now, if we start looking at particular worlds with particular agents and particular circumstances in them, we can now start saying, well, in this world, what things are avoidable? What kinds of things are avoidable by this agent, given its powers and its circumstances? And the answer may be, well, if you throw a brick at it, it can duck, because there's enough light so it'll be able to see the brick, and its nervous system is good enough, and its reflexes are fast enough, so that it's pretty good at avoiding bricks. However, random lightning bolts is no good at avoiding those. It's just doomed. If there's a lightning stroke coming up in its future, it's toast. There's nothing it can do about that. But if you try, to throw a spear at it or something, your chances of succeeding are next to nil, because it's such a good spear avoider. Now, in order to be able to talk this way, in order to partition the universe into the things that are inevitable for that agent or evitable by that agent, we have to have a way of talking about evitability and inevitability in a deterministic world. Now, since there's plenty of evitability in deterministic worlds that we can define, the implication, determinism implies inevitability, is just false. It's just a mistake. It's thousands of years old. It's not been pointed out. It's just a mistake. Natural selection is an explosion of evitability. We've had huge increases in the degrees of freedom. Mm-hmm. The powers that the products of evolution have, the accrued powers, this is one of the most obvious facts in the physical world. Mm-hmm. It's this growth of evitability. Now, if you look at evitability in that way, then you see that just the traditional philosopher's notion of inevitability just isn't in the same picture.
Just as monkeys live in an arboreal world, and moles live in an underground world, and water striders live in a surface tension-dominated flatland, we live in a social world. We swim through a sea of people, a social version of middle world. We are evolved to second-guess the behavior of others by becoming brilliant, intuitive psychologists. Treating people as machines may be scientifically and philosophically accurate, but it's a cumbersome waste of time if you want to guess what this person is going to do next.